Good morning and welcome back to Mrs. Houck's math lesson. It's so good to see a lot of you here at school today, and it's also good to see a lot of you who are actually online watching the video. Yesterday's lesson, if you recall, was dividing, and we were dividing a fraction by a whole number. So for example, our fraction might have been 1/2, that's a fraction. We divided by a whole number. Our whole number was, let's say, 5. Okay. Now, we learned that there's a couple ways we could do this. We could draw a diagram, 1/2. So we would take our box and we would make it into 1/2, and I kind of colored like this. Then we had to take that 1/2 and we had to divide it into 5 pieces. And so we cut across here. For example, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. We looked at the top row and we circled the one that was colored, the one that we colored in. This we colored one box. So our answer would have been 1 out of how many boxes in all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And our answer is 1/10. Okay. Now the other thing we talked about is we could also solve this problem by doing what we call keep, change, and flip. So our first thing we had to do is we had to keep the 1/2. We had to change the division to a multiplication problem. And we had to flip a 5. Well, how do you flip 5? Well, 5 is actually the same as 5/1. So I highly encourage you to go ahead and put that on there so that way now you can see, oh, I need to flip 5/1 to 1/5. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 5 is 10. Same answer. Interesting to see that when we take a fraction and we divide by a whole number, my answer gets smaller. Okay? Today we're going to do something a little different. Today we're going to kind of reverse the procedure. We're going to continue dividing, but this time I'm going to give you a whole number divided by a fraction. And we're going to learn how to make those models and how to come up with our answers. The interesting thing is, today, when we divide a whole number by a fraction, our answer is going to be bigger than the number we started with. Okay, and so we're going to look at that today. So if you would go ahead and get your blue math books out, we're going to open up, it's going to be S5, Lesson 2, and it looks like this. So go ahead and get that out for me, please. All right, so you can see I went ahead and wrote the question we're going to do today. And if time allows, your teachers might have you practice a few more of these questions after class. The first question we're going to look at is how many half miles are in 12 miles? Okay, most of us know that half miles means we're going to have this as our fraction. Okay. So what we're going to do is we need to write it as a division problem. Well, how many half miles are in 12 miles? I'm starting with 12 miles. That is what I'm beginning with. And I'm wanting to take those 12 miles and I'm wanting to divide them into halves. I want to know how many half miles. So we're going to divide by 1/2. Okay? Well, we already know if we want to write it as a multiplication problem, the rule is keep, change, and flip. Well, I'm going to keep the 12 as a 12. I'm going to change the division to a multiplication, and I'm going to flip 2 or 1/2. Well, if I flip 1/2, it's going to look like this. 2/1. Well, 2/1 is actually the number 2. 2 divided by 1 is 2. So I'm going to rewrite my multiplication problem down here because now I actually have 12 times 2. Well, 12 times 2 is 24. I took a whole number, I divided it by a fraction, and I got a larger answer today. All right, so now down here we're going to kind of make a model. We're going to make a model. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make our model looking at our fraction first. So I'm going to make a nice big box here. and I'm going to cut it in 1/2. 1/2 means I'm going to kind of have to probably color in 1/2 of this. So we'll just kind of scribble this in here. So I've colored 1/2. Okay, very simple so far. Well, the whole number we started with was 12. So 12 represents our 1/2. So this side right here represents 12. Well, if this box represents 12, this box has to equal the same thing because they're supposed to be the same size. So this box is also 12. So now I have 12 plus 12, which gives me the answer 24. I have the same answer here and the same answer here. So you can see our model today is a little bit different. Since we're dividing by a fraction, we're not cutting them into pieces like we did when we divided with whole numbers. Okay, let's do a little more practice. So go ahead and let's flip our book over to the next page. All right, so teachers, my suggestion is, if time allows after my lesson is over, maybe go back and do some of these problems with your students. We already did problem number 1, but you can actually do some more practice with your students if time allows. So students, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and turn over to page S7, and we're going to practice a few of these problems. All right, let's look at Molly. It says Molly uses 9 cups of flour. So I'm going to underline that. That's my number. 9 cups of flour to bake bread. If this is 3/4 of the total amount of flour she started with, what was the original amount of flour? All right, so let's listen carefully. If she is using 9 cups, and that's only 3/4 of the total, and I want to know what the total is, obviously my answer must be larger than 9 because she's only using a portion of the flour. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a model. First thing we do is we find our fraction, and we make that as our model. So we'll make 4 boxes. 3 of the 4 we will color in. 1, 2, and 3. Now, we found out that Molly is using 3/4 of the total. Here's the total. She's only using this much. And we know that this is equal to 9. So she used 9 cups. So we're going to say that this equals 9 cups. So I have to take this 9 and I have to divide it into these 3 boxes. Well, what is 9 divided into 3? Well, that means these each are going to be 3. 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. Well, if these boxes are all 3, guess what this box has to be equal to? It is also 3. So my question is, what was the original amount of flour? Well, if she used 9 cups here, and we're going to add this other cup that she didn't use, what's this equal to? Well, it should equal to 12, because 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. So what was the original amount of flour? The original amount was 12 cups. All right, so I'm going to ask you to write this answer 1 time, so that way you have it in your notes, so you always know with word explanation how we solve this. When it says explain how you would determine the answer using this model, well, what we did is to divide 9 by 3/4. If you notice right here, we took the 9, and we divided it by 3 to get the amount for each rectangle. So we found 3, 3, 3. Okay, now we could have taken 3 times 4, which is the same as this, to also get 12. So I said then we multiply by 4 because there are 4 total rectangles. So I'm going to ask you to pause your video and write this down in your notes, so that way you always have an explanation as to what we did up here to solve this problem. That way if a grown-up at home wants to help you, they can see what we did. So go ahead and pause the video and write this down. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on down to problem number 1 for our exercises. Let's see if we can start figuring out how to solve these. A construction company is setting up signs on 4 miles of the road. If the company places a sign every 1/8 of a mile, how many signs will it need? Well, obviously, if they are setting up 4 signs, okay, is setting up 4 signs on 4 miles of the road, they're going to be placing them every 1/8. Obviously, we're going to have more than 4 signs, so our answer has to be larger than 4. Okay, so once again, we're going to go ahead and make a little model. So we're going to make 1/8. We'll see if I can get this correct. It's going to be a little tough here, so I'm going to cut mine in half. I have to make a total of 8 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to make 4 over here. So I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to go ahead and color in 1/8 of the boxes. All right, now it says that we're going to set up signs on 4 miles of the road. If the company places a sign every 1/8, so every 1/8 is going to be 4. Well, if this is 4, guess what the rest of the boxes are? They are also 4. So I need to find out my total answer. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 4s. So I'm going to say 4 times 8, which equals 32. So how many signs will it need? It will need 32 signs. Now, if I wanted to, I could write my division problem like this. 4 miles divided by 1/8. Remember, the rule is keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. Well, I'm going to keep the 4. I'm going to change to multiplication. I'm going to flip 1/8, and it would look like this. Well, I know that 8 over 1 is actually the same thing as 8. So I'm going to change it to be 4 times 8, which equals 32. Same answer. So we can either do the model or we can do keep, change, flip. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and turn the page, please. All right, so let's look at our next problem. Our next problem says that George bought 12 pizzas for a birthday party. If each person will eat 3/8 of a pizza, how many people can George feed with 12 pizzas? Well, obviously, if we have 12 pizzas, we're going to be feeding more than 12 people. So our answer needs to be larger than 12. So if my answer does not show a number bigger than 12, then I did my problem wrong. Okay, so this time I'm going to start with, let's just do the division problem first. 12 pizzas divided by 3/8. Right? So let's see how that does. Remember, keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep the 12. I'm going to change to multiplication. And I'm going to flip my 3/8. If I flip it, it's 8/3. Multiply across top, multiply across the bottom. So I'm going to have to put a 1 underneath here because we know that 12 is the same as 12 over 1. 12 times 8. Some of you have multiplication charts on your desk and some of you do not. So if you don't know, you can go ahead and look at that and solve 12 times 8, which should be 96. 1 times 3 is 3. Now this is a top-heavy fraction, and because it's top-heavy, we're going to go ahead and do the division. So right over here, we're going to say 96 divided by 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times, which is 9. Bring down my 6. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So my answer is 32. Okay, please make sure you're writing down this division problem. So my answer is 32 people. So if I had 12 pizzas, my final answer was larger because I am able to feed 32 people. If we wanted to make it as a model, remember, we have to do our fraction. So I'm going to take my box here. I'm going to cut it into 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to color in 3. According to my directions here, 12 is going to match with my 3/8. So this is 12. I'm taking 12 and I'm dividing it into 3 boxes. What would 12 be divided into 3 boxes? Oh, it would be 4. 4 plus 4 plus 4. That equals 12. So if these are all 4, guess what the rest of the boxes are? They're 4 as well. So how many 4s do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm taking 4 times 8, which equals, same answer I have up here, 32. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the Lopez family. It says the Lopez family adopted 6 miles of trail on the Erie Canal. If each family member can clean up 3/4 of a mile, how many family members are needed to clean the adopted section? Once again, we have 6 miles. We better have more than 6 people. Our answer needs to be larger. Let's go ahead and start with our model first this time. So let's make 3/4. Make my box nice and big. Color 3. It says that I have 6 miles, so 6 stands for the section we've colored here. 6 divided into 3 boxes. What would that be? 6 divided by 3 is 2. So each box is worth 2. If each box here is worth 2, this box right here is also 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 2s, so I'm going to take 2 times 4. And it looks like my answer should be I'm going to need 8 people. Let's do our keep, change, flip, and check it as well. So we had here 6 people divided by 3/4. Keep the 6. Change to multiplication. And flip my 3/4 to 4/3. I have to multiply across the top and the bottom, so I'm going to have to add underneath here again 6, because add a 1 underneath, because 6/1 is still the same number as 6, but now I can multiply across the top and get 18. I can multiply across the bottom and get 4. Okay, so does everyone agree with what I did? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping you were paying attention. What did Mrs. Huck forget to do? You are correct. I forgot to flip. So if you notice, my answer is not going to be correct. So I have the 6. I changed. I didn't flip. Very important to always make sure we flip. Otherwise, our answer is incorrect. So we should have done 6/1 times flip. We have to flip 4/3. Always flip. So now we'll take this one. That's wrong. 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 3 is 3. This is top heavy. 24 divided by 3. 24 divided by 3 happens to be 8. So my answer was the same. So my answer is, how many people do we need? We need 8 people. Circle your answer, and let's turn over to the next page. Okay, let's read about Margot. Margot is freezing 8 cups of strawberries. If this is 2/3 of the total of strawberries that were picked, how many cups of strawberries did Margot pick? Well, she picked 8 cups. That's only 2/3. So that means she didn't pick all of them. There's more. Let's make our model. Okay, we're going to make 2/3. Color 1, color 2. 2/3. The part that's colored is 8. 8 divided into 2 boxes. Well, if I have to divide it evenly, that means there's going to be 4. If these are 4, this one's 4. I have 4 3 times, so I'm going to write 4 times 3, which means I think my answer should be 12 cups total. Let's try our keep, change, flip. So we have 8 cups divided by 2/3. Let's make sure we do this one correctly. Keep the 8, change to multiplication, and flip. That means I have to turn it upside down like this. So this is 8. I'm missing a number, so let's go ahead and add 8/1, which is the same as 8. I didn't change the value. 8 times 3 is 24. 1 times 2 is 2. Oh, now I have 24 divided by 2. Some of you actually know 24 divided by 2 in your head. And if you do, you can go ahead and write your answer. And let's see, 2, 4. I still have the answer, 12. So my final answer is 12 cups. Okay, so what I would like for you to do this evening is I would like for you to go ahead and solve problem number 5. Okay, remember it says Regina is chopping up wood. She has chopped 10 logs so far. If the 10 logs represent 5/8 of the logs, 5/8 means it's not all of them. So your answer needs to be larger than 10. I want you to make a model. And then I want you to do keep, change, flip right here. See if you can get matching answers. And we will look at this tomorrow. Thank you for paying attention and listening. And I hope you guys have a great evening.